We're right here. All right, could we mute our mics, please? Unless we are presenting. All right. So we have started on YouTube. Where are we now? All right. So shalom and welcome once again to another of our Shabbat teaching. This is Chazak Aliyahu Yasharal, and I will be with you along with Mahar Kuhn and Shamuel Fabi will be presenting here today. And today we're going to be looking at no salvation without separation. We're going to be looking at separation today as we continue to look at the end time prophecies that we have been given, the end time instructions and commands that we have been given, trying to break them down, realizing that they were hidden from us and that they are now showing up more than ever, that these are the things that we need to do because we were deceived in that which we were brought up in, the religions that we were brought up in, even in our awakening, we have been deceived. The emphasis was placed on other things, not giving us the direct route in which the Most High wants us to take to attain unto his salvation. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. As you see up at the top, it says we are the end time generation. It's very important because the title, No Salvation Without Separation, is in the context of us being the end time saints. And this salvation we are speaking about, it is the end time salvation in which the end time generation will see the salvation of the Most High. That's the context in which we present today. And the subtitle, The Escaped of Yasharal. Very important, The Escaped of Yasharal. And as you can see up at the top left, top right, you may see Exodus 10:26. Our cattle also shall go with us. What we're going to show is that when the Most High wants us to gather us in the end, there are certain things that must happen and certain things that have happened that will repeat themselves again. So he says, our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind, for thereof must we take to serve Yahuwah or Aluah, and we know not with what we must serve Yahuwah, until we come thither. So the whole point is we have to take everything out when it's time to go and serve the Most High, because what we are going to show is that the Most High has us in his hands. When we transgress, he sends us into captivity and he hides his face from us, hides himself from us. And then when it is time to gather us back, then we have to be sanctified and to be set apart. And then he will show us and teach us, show us how we should worship him. So for that, he takes us away from where we are in captivity and takes us out, sets us apart, and shows us the way, the full way. And that is why it says in the covenant, they shall all know me, from the greatest to the least among them. That's what he does, takes us so that we can get to know him. And so we start with the foundation, to the law and to the testimony, the witnesses of the truth, the witnesses of the truth, the law and the testimony. Isaiah 8 verse 20. If we don't speak according to the law and the testimony, it's because there is no light in us. Read, please, bro.
To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
So we have to speak according to the law and the testimony. And what do we have? Malachi 3:6. And another condition in which we present this is the fact that the Most High does not change. Go ahead, please.
For I am Yahuwah, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
He does not change. So the same way he did things back then, it's the same way he's going to do it today. That is another of the premise that we use. And another of the premise is that the Messiah is a witness to the way and the will of the Most High. The Messiah is the witness. John 5:37. So what we're going to do today, we're going to also use Messiah as the witness to present what we are presenting today. Read, please.
36 or 37?
37, sorry.
And the Father himself, which hath sent me, hath borne witness of me.
Hath borne witness of me, the Father. No, it's not recording. All right, the Father has borne witness of me. So the Father bears witness of the Son, and the Son bears witness of the Father. What's the other one? 1 John 5:6. Just laying the foundation here with these verses. Read, please.
This is he that came by water and blood, even Yahushua Mashiach, not by water only, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach that beareth witness, because the Ruach is true.
So the Ruach of Yahuwah bears witness to the Messiah. And the Messiah, of course, in perfection before the Ruach, bore witness himself to the Ruach. So, our theme today, no salvation without separation. What we are actually basing on is what we have been on for the past couple of weeks, flee from the midst of Babylon. And we are going to see that it is very clear before us, and I want us to look carefully and to take this study carefully and diligently look into what we're saying, because you're no doubt going to get things that we have not seen. But there are scriptures that we have that actually show us exactly what we should do in the end time, but it has largely been ignored. And in preference, as we said before, we teaching things that and thinking that our teaching ends with certain things. So Matthew 10:34-39 is where we start and probably where we shall also end up. Matthew 10:34. Read, please.
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
But a sword, a cutter, a divider. We're going to see that separation is a must, and separation that the Most High had in the beginning, that's the same separation that's going to come in the end. Verse 35.
For I am come to set man at variance against his father, and the daughter against his mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
The daughter against her mother. So it's family against family. And the witness is born these end times of the sword being drawn as we went through this Vax saga. Family against family, because of this this thing that they have they were trying to cause us to take in our arms. Verse 36.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
All right, so here it is. It's going to be a challenge as to whom do you love more, the Most High or your family. Verse 38.
And he that taketh not his stake and follow after me is not worthy of me.
Now, very important again. he that taketh not his stake. Because in the end time, we are going to be challenged to pick up our stake and follow after the Messiah. Which means we are going to have to throw down all that we had before and take up a challenge to face to follow the Messiah. Verse 39.
He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it.
What does it mean to find his life? Find his life. Find his life in where? To find his life in this world. So we go through every day relentlessly searching to find our life, to make life. We call it to make life. Why I'm trying to make life. If we continue to strive after making life in this world, it says we shall lose it. But if we lose our life for the sake of the Messiah, for the sake of the kingdom, then we shall find it. And this is a challenge today. Will we be willing to lose our life in this world and gain our life and gain the kingdom? Are we willing to lose our life in this world? No, are we willing to find our life in this world, and lose it? Or are we willing to lose our life in this world and find the way to eternal life? That is the challenge. All right, so we're going to deal with separation now, because we just spoke about even families separating. We're going to be looking now at the separation that the Most High does, always does a separation with his people. And if we agree and accept that we are the children of Yasharal, then we have to understand and accept that there must be a separation. Whenever he comes for his people, there is a separation. Whenever he's ready to gather his people, there is a separation. But there is a sanctification before the separation. And we are going to see. All right? So let's just look at it. The separation of his inheritance. Could you read Deuteronomy 32, 8-9, please?
When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yahuwah's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
When he divided to the nations their inheritance, this was after the flood. When he divided to the nations their inheritance, the sons of that went over there, and the sons of that went over the other side. And he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the children of Yasharal. So the boundaries were set based on Yasharal because his people are his portion. Jacob is the lot or the entirety of his inheritance. So because they are his inheritance, he separated them. He set them apart and he made boundaries around them. Very important. And we are showing that in returning, when he's about to gather us, that is what he does again. Sets us apart, sets boundaries around us. And the meaning of separated there is the Hebrew parad, which means to break through, that is spread or separate oneself, disperse, divide, be out of joint, part, scatter abroad, separate self, sever, self, stretch, sunder. So it is a division, a severing, a ripping apart of the nations. That is what he does. He separates his inheritance. And as we looked at before, I am Yahuwah, I changeth not. He does not change. He continues when he is ready to gather his people. Because remember, the curse is that, and you shall be dispersed among the nations. You shall be dispersed among the nations. So it's the opposite of being set apart. So when his people transgress too much, he disperses them, scatters them among the nations. When it's time to gather them back, he calls them out. This is why he tells us to flee from the midst of Babylon. It's a calling out. We're going to see that as well. So he actually severed us or ripped us apart from other people to be his ownership, his own. Leviticus 20, verse 26.
And he shall be Kadosh unto me.
Kadosh.
Kadosh unto me. For I, Yahuwah, am Kadosh, and have severed you from other people, that he should be mine.
Have severed you, have ripped you from other people, that he should be mine. This is why we flee from the midst of Babylon. He's severing us, ripping us from other people, that we should be his. Remember when Moses went to Pharaoh, he said, not even a hoof shall be left. They have to bring everything out because we don't know what we shall use to worship Yahuwah. When he takes us out, he rips us apart from everyone, that we should be his. Why? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And whilst among the wicked, the Most High cannot have his way with us among the wicked. So he rips us apart from the wicked. And that severed there is the Hebrew badal, which means to divide in various senses, literally or figuratively, separate, distinguish, differ, select, etc. So it's a separation. Make, put difference, divide asunder, totally divide. Make, separate self, make separation, sever out, sever utterly. So that severed there is a very strong word, a stronger word than separated. It is a violent ripping away from the rest of the nations. And why does he do it? He says, you shall be kadosh, you shall be holy, for I am kadosh, I am holy. This is why he has to separate us from the other nations when it's time for him to come close to us. Because his people have to be kadosh, and you cannot be kadosh in Babylon. Impossible for you to be holy in Babylon. Okay? So, in separating us, his way of transforming us, his way of molding us, his way of perfecting us is by leading us in the wilderness. In the wilderness. Remember, the children of Israel, we claim to be Israelites. How do we want to live like Gentiles? Because the Gentiles would comfortably sit in Babylon and wait for their God to take them out. But we have to understand the way of Yahuwah. We have to understand the way of the allure of Yasharal, how he works differently from God. So we have to understand the way that Yasharal went to see how he will also lead us, the children of Yasharal. So he leads us in the wilderness. So there's nothing new. That's why he says, flee from the midst of Babylon, flee to the mountains, flee to the fields, flee out of the midst of Babylon, because he leads us in the wilderness. Deuteronomy 32, verses 10 to 14.
He found him in a desert land.
Stop there. He found him in a desert land. No. Remember we had said, when he separated the sons of Adam, let's go see if we can find it. Yeah. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Yasharal. So when these boundaries were set, at the time of Adam, the children of Yasharal were not yet born. Because then you only had Shem. their forefather. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Shem was the forefather of the Israelites. So you only had Shem at this division. So when it says he found them in a desert land, it sounds, how can he find them? How can the Creator find them? What does it mean to find them? We're going to look at that next. Start it again, please.
He found them in a desert land and in the waste hole in the wilderness. He led him about and instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings.
All right, so here it is. He found him in a desert land. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. This is why we have to flee out of the midst of Babylon. There is no way the Most High can do this to us in Babylon. No way he can lead us about and instruct us and keep us as the apple of his eyes. It says, as an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings. That's how it is. When we flee from the midst of Babylon, the Most High is able to keep us. Yeah, I hear you too. I was wondering if it was me. Bro, your audio is low. Brother Mahar.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I had heard it and I thought it was my thing. Yeah. So, yeah. So verse 11 refers to like a mother has her young, caring for that young, nurturing that young. That is how the Most High is able to do with us when we are out of Babylon. If not, he's not able to do this with us because of the sorcery, the enchantment. And we're going to look at different things about Babylon that makes it impossible for us, for the Most High, to be able to lead us as he will. Because remember, I'm going to share a lot of scriptures are going to tie in. Remember, he promised us before we go into Yasharal, he's going to lead us in the wilderness again. And we're going to look at that. So he found him in a desert land. So what we are saying here is the Most High takes us and nourishes us and nurtures us because we don't know the Most High today. Let me tell you something. A lot of us are acting as if we're all that and we have this great knowledge and all of that. We don't know the Most High. We will only know the Most High when he takes us out of Babylon and takes us into the wilderness and leads us around and nurtures us and teaches us and chastens us and all sort of things with us. That's when we're going to know him. For right now, we are only getting to know him. All right, so he found him in a desert land. The meaning of the word found, because it sounds strange, it sounds funny to say found him. So the meaning of the word found is the Hebrew matzah, which means properly to come forth to, that is appear or exist, transitively to attain, that is to find or acquire. So in other words, he does not acquire us until we come out of Babylon, meaning he does not relinquish, not relinquish, he does not assert his hold upon us until we come out of Babylon. He does not, it's like, what should I say now? It's like a parent saying to the child, we cannot have a relationship unless you leave that gang. Something like that. So as long as the child is in that gang, the parent will have a sort of relationship with the child. But when the child comes out of the gang, then the parent can have full relationship. It's the same thing. When we come out of Babylon, the Most High can have full relationship with us. Figuratively, to occur, meet, or be present. So to meet with us, to be present with us, his presence with us is mitigated while we are in Babylon. be able, befall, being, catch. I guess we get the idea to go through all of these. You can go through these yourself and get more understanding of this word found. So the word found implies that the relationship of the eagle fluttering over his child, taking care of this child, nurturing the child, will not take place until his people go into the waste, howling wilderness. That is when he will lead us about, that is when he will instruct us, and that is when he will keep us as the apple of his eye. All right. Are you with me, Brother Mahar? Have any comments so far?
Well, not yet.
All right. So, another thing now we have to understand is that he said we should be kadosh, for he is kadosh. We should be holy, for he is holy. We should be set apart, for he is set apart. Now, for us to be set apart, as the word says, set apart, it means separate. For us to be set apart, we must be separate. Must be separate from the people, must be separate from the heathen, separate from the wicked. We must be separate. Jubilees 22, verse 16. This is Abraham speaking before he died. Verse 16, read please.
And do thou, my son Jacob, remember my words and observe the commandments of Abraham, thy father. Separate thyself from the nations.
Oh, hold on. What must he do?
Separate thyself from the nations.
Oh, so that's what the Most High means when he says flee from the midst of Babylon. Because he knows we're going to be in captivity in the midst of Babylon. But in preparation for him to gather us, he said, separate thyself from the nations, flee from the midst of Babylon. Read separate thyself from the nations, please.
Separate thyself from the nations, and eat not with them.
Stop there, please. And do what?
Eat not with them.
What's the implication of that for us today, Brother Mahar? Eating with them.
I mean, eating the same food that they prepare.
And what's the implication for that? The food is
we're definitely going to be planting what we eat and eat what we plant.
Yes. The reason you don't eat with them is because their food is polluted. And so you cannot be kadosh, you cannot be holy eating polluted food. Continue. And do not
according to their works, and become not their associates, for their works are unclean. Their works are unclean. Somebody's the message is in the way. 1 second there.
Okay. For their works are unclean, and all their ways are a pollution and an abomination and uncleanness. Now, Abraham said this so many thousands of years ago, and it is exactly the same thing with Babylon today. Eat not with them, their food is polluted. Do not according to their works. All their works are polluted. And become not their associate. Don't stand in the way of sinners or sit in the seats of the scornful or walk in the way of the wicked. For their works are unclean. Babylon's works are unclean. And all their ways are a pollution and an abomination and uncleanness. There is nothing new under the sun. So this is why we must be separate in order to be kadosh, in order to be holy. And that is why the Most High said this. When he led the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim, and he was giving them instructions in holiness, this is what he said to them. Leviticus 20, verse 24. This is before he brought them into the land. This is what he wants to do. He wants to take us out and prepare us to inherit the land. And this is what he said then. Read, please.
What I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, which have separated you from other people.
Which have what?
Separated you from other people.
So that's why we say no separation without salvation. The Most High separates us first. His end time remnant are going to be the people who are willing to separate themselves from other people. Because we're going to show the difference between Egypt and Babylon. All right? Don't want to jump too far. The difference between Egypt and Babylon. So in the experience with Egypt, we can get some examples, but there are slight differences between Egypt and Babylon. So he separated those in the end are those who are willing to flee from the midst of Babylon. These are the people who are going to allow the Most High to separate them from other people. And because they are separated from other people, verse 25.
Before we go to verse 25, let's look a bit deeper on the ending of 24.
Yeah.
This is a very, very scary part for everyone who might be hearing this for many months, maybe years, and still may not have the heart to flee. The part that just struck me is when Moses says, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, which have separated you from the people. So we have to see that, wonder if the ones who are not moving, the Most High did not really separate them, because if we have a heart to do that which the Most High command, that is the Most High separating us. So it is a very scary, very, very scary line here.
Yeah. I think this is one of the times when he allows us our free will.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to force us to separate ourselves. It's the ones who have the heart that are going to separate themselves. That's it. The ones who have the heart. And we're also going to show that having the heart to separate yourself is just the beginning. Having the heart to separate yourself is not salvation. This study today has brought out a whole lot in my mind. I hope I'll be able to bring them out all. All right. Continue.
Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beasts, or by fowl, or by any manner of living things that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean.
All right. So because he has separated us from other people, we must therefore be clean. And one of the cleanliness is in what we eat. That's why in Abraham, he said, don't eat with them. So you must not make your soul abominable by any beast or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground. Anything unclean, you must not mess up your vessel with that which is unclean. Why? Because he has separated us from other people. Allow the other people to do it. But you who have been separated, no, you don't do that. Because, verse 26 says,
and ye shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahuwah, am holy.
Stop there, please. You shall be set apart unto me, for I, Yahuwah, am set apart. You shall be kadosh unto me, for I, Yahuwah, am kadosh. That is why we have to maintain ourselves in perfection. Those who he separates, have to maintain ourselves in perfection before him. Read 26 again, please.
And he shall be set apart unto me, for I, Yahuwah, is Kadesh, and have severed you from other people, that he should be mine.
He has severed you. Remember, we looked at severed. He has ripped you apart. He has utterly cut you asunder from other people, that he should be what?
Mine.
That's it. Those who are his are going to have to be ripped away from everyone. Everyone. So Babylon, that is putting up itself as if it is the Most High, you have to come out of her because you are the Most High's, and he will not share you with anyone else. Remember I said I am jealous? Yeah? He will not share us with anyone else. He will not share us with Babylon. Okay? So, another thing now, all of these principles that we're looking at, we have to remember them, keep them in the back of our minds. Each one of them, process them very carefully, because these are principles many of us have overlooked. And we have seen it and we have read it, but we have not brought it into perspective. We are trying to bring everything in perspective here when it comes to separation. So before the Most High comes near to us, we must be sanctified. Before he comes near to us, we must be sanctified. We must be holy. We must be set apart. We must be utterly clean before he comes near to us. So that is why, look at the process. When it is time, because the Messiah said, when you see the abomination of desolation on the Kazakh Eliyahu channel, we have a video, what is the abomination of desolation? Tried my best within the constraints of YouTube and their censorship to try to explain the abomination of desolation, which of course the Messiah used as the trigger for us to flee to the mountains, as a trigger for us to flee from the midst of Babylon. And when we see that trigger, before we come near to him, no, when we see that trigger, it is him telling us to flee from the midst of Babylon so that you can be near me, so that I can now find you. I can actually be the eagle that puts her wings around you and nurtures you and nourish you, teach you, guide you. Before that, we must be sanctified. We must be holy. Moses, an example here, Exodus what? 3:3-5. Moses being sanctified before. Moses, Exodus again, 3:3-5. I said. All right, so I can read from verse 2, please.
Verse 2. And the angel of Yahuwah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And
Continue.
Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned.
Why the bush is not burned. Moses wanted to see. Verse 4.
And when Yahuwah saw that he turned aside to see, Yahuwah called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I.
All right, so notice the angel, the messenger. It was an angel that was there. And when Yahuwah, so it's the angel appearing as Yahuwah. All right, this is the same thing when the Messiah came. The Messiah appeared as Yahuwah. Same thing. So when Yahuwah saw that Moses turned aside to see, he's going to tell him something very significant. Verse 5.
And he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
The place on which thou standest is Kodesh ground, set apart ground. So, why take off your shoes from off your feet? Sanctify yourself before you come hither. That is why we have to flee from the midst of Babylon. We have to sanctify ourselves before the Most High brings us into his land. Same thing. So Moses has to take off the shoes off his feet. What about Isaiah? Isaiah 6:5-7. Yeshayahu 6:5-7. Read, please.
Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Yahuwah Sabaoth.
All right, so Isaiah, when he saw Yahuwah Sabaoth, he saw the manifestation of Yahuwah Sabaoth. He said, woe is me, I'm going to die. I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. I am unsanctified. Yahuwah is too kadosh for me, is too holy for me. I'm going to die. What happened? Did the Most High say, nah, you're okay? Let's see what happened. Verse 6.
Then flew one of the serpents unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongue from off the altar, tongues from off the altar. And he
Continue.
And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thy iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged.
That's it. He was sanctified by the live coal, which the seraphim took and laid it on his mouth. We have to be sanctified before we come near to the Most High. That is why we have to leave from Babylon. We have to be sanctified. We have to be clean. We have to leave outside all the filthiness of Babylon. All the filthiness of Babylon we have to leave behind before we can be clean before the Most High. And wow, where were we now? Oh yes, Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aharon. Leviticus 10, 1-3. Same principles, Yahuwah does not change. We have to be set apart before we come close to him. Verse 1.
And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before Yahuwah, which he commanded them not.
Oh. This is the important thing. Which he commanded them not. Offered strange fire. And the Most High commands us and say, flee from the midst of Babylon and save every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahuwah's anger. He will render unto her a recompense. That is a command. All right? So they did that which he did not command. And what happened? Verse 2.
And there went out fire from Yahuwah, and devoured them, and they died before Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Then Moses said unto Aaron, this is it that Yahuwah spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace.
You see? The Most High devoured them. And Moses says, this is what Yahuwah spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me. Very important. We cannot be sanctified in Babylon. That's why the Most High told us to come out. If we don't come out, we shall perish along with Babylon. I will be sanctified in those who come near me. That means to come near him. When it's time for him to come near Yasharal, he wants them to be sanctified. So he wants them out to be set apart so he can sanctify them. Okay? But we cannot be sanctified in Babylon. And here's why we cannot be sanctified in Babylon. Babylon claims to own us. For example, birth certificate. I was watching a video and this just brought all of this back to my memory. The Unam Sanctum of 1302 from Pope Boniface declared that every soul was to be registered property to the Vatican. Every single human being, according to this papal bull, I think it was, every single soul belongs to the Vatican. And they do this through the birth certificate registration system. So as long as you're in Babylon, taking up Babylon's things, you're going to need a birth certificate for a passport, for a driver's license, for various things, I might ask you for your birth certificate. And it is said that this birth certificate is like a bond that is traded on the stock exchange. Never ever dug into that, but I've heard so many people say it. I've never ever dug into it to find out, to confirm if this is so. And there was even a person who came to me and asked me about if this birth certificate could be the mark of the beast, because it's the beast who actually owns it. But then we know that the different things cannot buy and sell, etc. You can buy and sell without birth certificate. As a matter of fact, some people exist without birth certificates. Here in Jamaica, many people without birth certificates. It's only now in the last few years they have ramped up their thing to try to get everybody a birth certificate. And you wonder why in the time of the mark of the beast. All right? So it cannot be sanctified, being owned by Babylon, according to them. All right? And they claim to even own our children. Now, the Most High says about the commandments that we should teach them to our children and to our children's children. What does Babylon say? No. Take your children and bring them to our schools. If you don't bring them to our schools, then we are going to take them away from you. It is so easy for Babylon to come and take your child or children away. So easy. Because according to them, they actually own them. So you live in a system in which you are owned and your children are owned by the devil, because we know that Babylon is the representation of the devil on this earth. And the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So Babylon owns our children. So you cannot adequately grow up your child knowing the ways of Yahuwah in Babylon. Just try that with a child going to school. When they reach a certain grades, the workload is so heavy, they have no time for the Most High. No time whatsoever. They have to be hurrying to do homework. The homework is sold. By the time they finish the homework, they sleep. And they still have not finished the homework. They have to wake up in the morning to do the homework. They have to hurry, go out to school. They go to school, slaving all day on Babylon's brainwashed education. And the cycle continues. All right? You cannot be set apart in Babylon. All right? Another reason why you cannot be set apart in Babylon, Babylon produces nothing but filth to pollute us. From their religion to their music, as part of your everyday life, to their occupations, their sorcery, their enchantments, their evil. Nothing but evil. Their evil television, their evil leaders, their evil laws. Everything in Babylon pollutes you. Every step you take. We partake of their system in all that we do. So in every occupation, there is evil aligned to it. You might say, okay, I have a grocery store. But what do you do in the grocery store? You are trading polluted food that is designed to kill people. Oh, I'm only a pharmacist. Oh, but you are actually prescribing sorcery of Babylon. I work in the health field. I actually save lives. I help to save lives. You partake in the sorcery of Babylon because their medications are described in Revelation 18:23 as sorcery. So whatever you do in Babylon, oh, I'm just a taxi driver, but you transport the people who work for Babylon and work for the system in Babylon all over the place every day. Whatever you do, you are going to be polluted. You cannot be kadosh. You cannot be holy as long as you are in Babylon. And what's more, in Babylon, they have set up their system that we have to go to them for everything that we need. As long as you're part of the monetary system of Babylon, as long as you trade money, then you are tied to their system. You partake in everything that they do, and you have to go to them for everything that you need. Because you need money to spend to buy something, you have to earn money to buy something. You have to participate in Babylon's wicked, corrupted system. So All in all, those are just 5 examples. There are a whole lot more. The banking system. Oh, I work in a bank. Yeah, you work in a bank, but you're part of a corrupt system that takes people's money and lends them back at high interest rates and give them little or nothing. You are part of a system that oppresses people monetarily and part of Babylon's monetary system. Whatever you do, and you might think it good and great, it's all a part of a corrupt system. So we cannot truly serve Yahuwah whilst partaking in Babylon's system. All right.
We can also see the banking system as an organized scamming system.
Yes. Yes. I take your $100 and I give you $1 in interest. And I lend it out at 20% interest. So I earn 20% and give you back 1. I have a 19% net profit. And guess what's the thing about the system? It's a scam indeed, because they have convinced us from we were born, from we were little kids going in school, because when we were in school, we had these little bank savings thing that we did in school, and then we would open a bank account with it. They have brainwashed us to believe that there is no life without a bank. We cannot exist without a bank. So because we cannot exist without a bank, then they become the answer. Then guess what now? They restrict us. You cannot make transactions over 100,000 a day. So they take your money, using your money, restricting you to the amount of money that you can use. Your money. Wicked scam. It is.
It's a legal scam.
Yes, it is. Legal scam. All right. So we just said that we cannot be sanctified in Babylon. Now let's start from here. Before he comes near to us, we must be sanctified. And we cannot be sanctified in Babylon. So where will we be sanctified? Because if we cannot be sanctified in Babylon and we must be sanctified before he comes near us, where can we be sanctified? Where? It has to be outside of Babylon. That is why we have to flee from the midst of Babylon. We cannot be sanctified in the midst of Babylon. We have to come out of Babylon to be sanctified before the Most High can come near unto us. Let's see it in scripture. We will be sanctified before the heathen when he takes us out. So the scripture tells us, I will be sanctified before the heathen. But how are we sanctified before the heathen? When we are taken out. Ezekiel 36, 22 to 24. We are not sanctified before the heathen in the presence of the heathen. We are sanctified when we are taken out from amongst the heathen. 22 to 24. 36. 22. Read, please.
Therefore, say unto the house of Israel, thus say Yahuwah, Yahuwah, I do not this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for mine set apart name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither you went.
All right. Mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went, whither we are scattered. Example in our captivity here. Verse 23 says,
And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, say Yahuwah, when I shall sanctify in you before their eyes.
Before their eyes. So they're going to see it. Well, how are they going to see it? Verse 24.
For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land.
So this is how we'll be sanctified, taken out from among the heathen. 2 processes here. Taken out from among the heathen, flee from the midst of Babylon, and then we will be gathered out of the countries. And then the third one will be brought into our own land, a three-step process. So let's, huh? Shamuel, Brother Mahar, your mic is very low. People in the chat say they have their thing on volume high and they can't hear it.
Okay, see, Brother Samuel could take over. I don't know.
Yeah, Shamuel, can you read?
Bro, I'm just setting up my mic, so read this one. Let me just set up my mic.
All right, so the next one now, Ezekiel 20, 40 to 42. We're going to see that we are profane, we are sanctified before the heathen when we are brought out. 40 to 42. I'll read it, please.
For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain of the heights of Israel, say Yahuwah alone, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them, and there will I require your offering, and the first fruit of your oblation with all your holy things. I will accept you with your sweet savor when I bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein ye have been scattered, and I will be sanctified in you before the heathen.
All right, so he will bring us out from the people. Bring us out from the people and gather you out of the countries we have been scattered. And so you will be sanctified. So we're sanctified before the heathen when we are brought out. Okay, so we have the coming out, the fleeing from Babylon here, and we have the gathering here. So let's see an example in Goshen. Let's see an example of the separation, of the being set apart, the severing or the ripping away in the land of Goshen. Exodus 8, 22 to 24. Shamuel, tell me when you're ready.
All right, we'll let you know now.
Yeah. Read, please. Mahar.
Oh. And I will serve in that day.
No, sever.
I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am Yahuwah in the midst of the earth.
So he will sever the land of Goshen in which my people dwell. Okay, so when his people dwelt in Goshen, we did a video on this. When his people dwelt in Goshen, they were ripped apart. They were set apart. So the children of Yasharal were set apart even in the land of Goshen. And in the video, I think it's a video about Psalm 91 and the command to flee from the midst of Babylon. In the video, we showed that the children of Israel were alone. They were set apart in the land of Mitzrayim because the people of Egypt abhorred shepherds. So because they were shepherds, they were abhorred, and so they were left alone. So they were already set apart in the land of Goshen. Verse 23.
And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be.
Tomorrow there'll be a division. So this is what happens when we are set apart. There is a division. So when we flee out of the midst of Babylon, there is a division between us and Babylon. So when the sudden destruction is come upon Babylon, then it will not reach us because we have set ourselves apart. Okay. Exodus 9, 23 to 26.
Do you do 24?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, go 24.
And Yahuwah did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt, the land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies.
And into all the land of Egypt. So he severed, he set apart Goshen and the rest of Egypt. This is what happened. And this is what is going to be happen in Babylon. Aside, some people say, oh, we don't have to flee anything. We don't have to flee Babylon because the whole world is Babylon. The whole world is Babylon, so where can we go? It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon. Set yourself apart in the hills, in the mountains, dwell in the fields. Set yourself apart from Babylon, and then when destruction comes on Babylon, just as in Goshen, he will set you apart. So wherever each one of us is scattered, that is our Goshen. He will set us apart when the destruction comes upon Babylon. How far did I go here?
24.
Continue.
You want 25 too?
Let me see.
Is Exodus 9, 23 to 26.
Oh yeah, 23 to 26. I continue.
No, Exodus 9.
Oh, sorry. 23. Yeah, go ahead now.
And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and Yahuwah sent thunder and hail, and the fire run along upon the ground, and Yahuwah rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail, and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt, since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail.
Could you please read that again?
Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was no hail.
Was there no hail? That's what happens when he sets them apart, sanctified, set apart before him. He keeps them protected. And we're going to see that there are records. There's a record in the book of what did I do with that? Okay, I think it's going to be further down the line. That showed that even though he protected those in Goshen, those who were in unbelief were not protected. This is an important thing that we are going to see, because we are commanded to flee from the midst of Babylon. And some people say we cannot flee, we are going to stay. He will protect us. We're going to see that further down the line. Very critical. Very critical. I guess that's why I left it for further down. So you see, very critical. If we are unbelievers, if we don't obey his command, then we're not going to be protected. So the main differences between deliverance from Egypt and Babylon. And for that, we're going to go to Jeremiah 51, verse 8 to 10. Jeremiah 51. Read, please.
Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Balm for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed.
All right, stop there. Here's a major difference between Egypt and Babylon. When our people were in Egypt, Egypt was not suddenly fallen and destroyed. It is the army of Egypt that was destroyed in the Red Sea or Red Sea. It's not the entire nation. So the children of Yasharel in Egypt were set apart in Egypt. So we in Babylon have to set ourselves apart from Babylon. Why? Because Babylon will be suddenly fallen and destroyed. That is why we have to come out ourselves. Come out to save our souls. Verse 9.
We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone to his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies.
All right. We would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. Babylon is so corrupt. All right. She's not healed. It says, forsake her and go everyone into his own country. Now, when the children of Israel were in Mitzrayim, were in Egypt, they were not told to forsake her and flee everyone into his own country. No, a leader was sent. This is the difference. A leader was sent, Moses, to take everybody out en bloc. Everyone out at once. But in Babylon, we are told to go everyone into his own country. So everyone now is going to come out. What is happening is that most of us are waiting for our deliverance in Egypt. And our deliverance in Egypt will be us fleeing from the midst of Babylon, thereby being set apart in our little Goshens, and then he is going to come and gather us. That's the difference. Because her judgment reacheth unto heaven and lifted up even to the sky. So you come out of her because of the judgment that is coming. Verse 10.
Yahuwah hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahuwah, our Lord.
So it is in Zion that we should declare, bring forth our righteousness. All right? Not in Babylon. Not in Babylon. Verse 11.
Make bright the arrows, gather the shield. Yahuwah hath raised up the rod of the king of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahuwah, the vengeance of his temple.
All right, so the vengeance of his temple, because back then they destroyed the temple, but this vengeance of the temple is the abomination of desolation that desolates the temple. This thing that they have given in us, this sorcery, Revelation 18:23 tells us about the sorcery, medication, or pharmakia that they will give us to deceive us. And this is the mark of the beast, abomination of desolation. It is going to be the vengeance for that. And so you don't want to be in there, because the Medes, the Iranians, those people, and the Elamites, I think, they are scattered throughout. These people are going to come. They might be coming in the name of different nations, but the descendants of these people are going to come and destroy Babylon. That's why you don't want to be in there. Okay? That's why you don't. That's the main difference between Egypt and Babylon. Shamal, are you ready as yet?
Yes, bro, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. All right, so thank you, Brother Mahar. Separating self before destruction comes. Very important again. People, if we just look at all the principles that we're going to bring out today, yes, we will see without a doubt that those who remain in Babylon are going to be destroyed. And it is those who have the heart and the desire and the will and the tenacity to flee from the midst of Babylon who will be saved. No salvation without separation in this end time deliverance of Yasharal. Okay? Nothing new under the sun. So, before destruction comes, we have to separate ourselves. And we know that Babylon is destined to be destroyed. We just read it. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. So before the sudden falling and destruction, we have to separate ourselves. And so separating self before destruction comes. The book of Bemidbar, Numbers 16, 19 to 35. Numbers 16, 19 to 35. This was Korah, the man who challenged Moshe. All right, these are for those people who the Most High has given people a calling, and they try to mitigate the calling of the people. They try to put up themselves saying, oh, we have the Ruach as well. We have this as well. Don't try to walk in another man's calling. Walk in your calling. Do not try to fight against a set-apart man of the Most High. Do not try to push yourself in his stead. This is what happened to Korah that led to his destruction. Let's see what we're going to learn from this. Bemidbar 16, verse 19.
And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared unto all the congregation.
So Korah gathered all the congregation against Moses and Aaron. Continue.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment.
Bro, I'm going to ask you to read that again. We know that Babylon is to be destroyed.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And he said, flee from the midst of Babylon. Read this again and connect both of them, please.
All right. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. That sounds like flee from the midst of Babylon.
And Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. So before Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, you have to do what?
You have to separate yourself.
Come out of her.
Yeah.
All right. Continue.
And they fell upon their faces and said, O Allure, the allure of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and wilt thou be wroth with all the congregation?
That's a good question. And what did Yahuwah say?
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.
Doesn't this sound like Babylon? Flee out of the midst. He's telling everybody. So Moses was saying one man sin and everybody wiped out. The Most High was saying, no. Not everyone. Everyone who takes themselves away from these people will be saved. So continue.
That sounds like the precept of Lamentations 1 verse 5. For Edom says, I am impoverished. I shall return to build the desolate places, and Yahuwah says, you shall build, but I will tear down. This is
that is our Malachi.
Is it Malachi 1:5? Oh, okay, 1:4, 1:5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it says verse 25. Okay.
Yeah.
Verse 25. And Moses rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins.
All right, Samuel, tell me something about this as it relates to flee from the midst of Babylon now.
Says, so everything in Babylon and about Babylon is polluted. Everything. Because Yahuwah calls the system of Babylon, he calls the system of Babylon the border of wickedness. In other words, everything that happens in Babylon is against his will. So any man that dwells amongst that tabernacle, amongst those people in those inhabited areas, the cities, wherever Babylon's system functions, the Most High is saying, get ye out from amongst those people, because if not, when sudden destruction comes, when his wrath comes, it will definitely affect you. You will be destroyed as a result, because it most I will see it as a rebellion against his word, because he gave us his word and you refuse to be set apart, to be holy, to be a peculiar people, but you decided to dwell amongst these sinful people. So anyone that dwells there, he says, depart from there. If not, you also will be classified as a wicked man who loves the earth, who loves the world. Right? So depart lest ye be consumed together with them in their sin. And that's what the Most High is saying.
And this is matches if you go now with Revelation 18:24. Revelation 18:24. No, Revelation 18:4. Sorry.
18:4, yeah.
Read, please.
And I heard another voice from Shamayin saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues.
This is the same principle.
The same, exact same thing.
Do not be consumed in her sins. All right. Where are we now?
And bro, what you're saying is actually is very it's I don't know if there's any truth other than the truth, absolute truth. but in the midst of Babylon, every single thing is polluted. As you're saying, from the food, from the air that we breathe, like literally everything, because these people spray aerosols, what they call the chemtrails. They control the weather, they manipulate the weather. Everything in Babylon literally is designed to cause you to be in opposition to the will of the Father. All right. You wake up in the morning, you say, I'm going to work, and trust. And I know many people work still in Babylon and don't know the aim or the true agenda of the company they work for. It sounds like I'm just a secretary. I just sit on my desk and I just type out files and who comes into the building and all. But you really don't understand that you are actually supporting Babylon and its wickedness. In these companies, many of these multi-billion companies are actually part of the reason why we have polluted foods. Are actually part of the reasons why our every medication they give is literally to cause. It's a spell. It's sorcery. It's designed to cause harm and damage, to alter you, to genetically modify you. So everything inside Babylon, it may sound very light as we are saying it, but I'm telling you, now we can see those whose heart really is in the system, those who really love the system. They will find any excuse and reasons to dwell in this Babylonian system. Every reason. They will tell you, the Most High knows my heart. The Most High, the Most High is the one that can save me. I know he's going to save me because he knows my intention. What about such a simple command and a loving command? The very same word that the Most High has given, depart, is the very same words, if you don't depart, will destroy you.
Yes.
All right. The very word will give you life, and the very word can also consume you in rebellion. So how come we cannot separate ourselves? This is where we need to do the self-introspection, the examination. Why is it hard for me to leave this system? Why am I fighting these people as they continue to urge us to continue to find a better way to live than to dwell amongst these wicked people? All right.
And you're talking about the companies. You can just see the companies by their logos. Let's look at their logos. Nice, harmless company. If you understand logos and satanic symbols, you'll see almost all the logos are homages to Hasatan.
Yeah, yesterday, it hit me so hard. It's not a coincidence you're actually talking about this, but I realized that the Mercedes sign is actually the head of, yes, and also the head of Baphomet.
Yes.
If you turn the crown, you see the two horns, and you actually see. And I was blown away. I'm like, everything, there is wickedness embedded in everything. There is nothing like, oh, I'm innocent. Oh, I didn't know. The Most High says that if you dwell in Babylon, you are dwelling on the border or in the border of wickedness.
Yes.
So everything in that place is literally a stumbling block, being a stumbling block before you.
Yeah.
All right.
Verse 27.
So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. And
All right, so the people obeyed and got away from them. 28.
And Moses said, hereby ye shall know that Yahuwah hath sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them in mine own mind.
29.
If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahuwah hath not sent me.
30.
But if Yahuwah make a new thing, and the earth open up her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked Yahuwah.
Continue.
So another side note, then verse 30. So Moses is saying that, look, we are not taking chances here. I'm not a chancing prophet. I am a leader that has been ordained and sent to do this work. So their death is actually going to be specific so that you will know when it happens in this manner that I am really sent of Yahuwah. So this is not a prophet that is going to predict and say, you know what, in the next 5 years, of course, 5 years is a big gap. He's telling you very clearly, distinctly, so that we don't mince and mix what he's trying to say, that these men, the earth is going to open up and they will be swallowed up. All right. These are not things you see every day around you, where you see a prophet tell somebody the ground should open up and then they are gone. No. So the Most High in these times is going to do the very exact same thing, specific thing, so that you will know that I have actually been rebellious and disobedient to his word or to his prophet or to his teachers. That's exactly what's going to happen.
So it is the same thing when Babylon comes, when Babylon falls. Yeah? He said that Babylon would fall. Yes. And then we are staying in Babylon and saying, oh, he will save me out of it. Then when the sudden destruction comes, that's when we're going to know.
You will know, yeah. When there's no escaping, you would know that this is certainly Yahuwah's word, yes.
Verse 31.
All right. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods.
All right. All those that appertained unto Korah, all those who did not depart from Korah. Verse 33.
They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation.
Continue.
And all Israel that were round about them fled at the city of them. So
at the cry.
At the cry of them. For they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. And
but they were set apart because they obeyed. Verse 35.
And there came out a fire from Yahuwah and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. Wow.
So all of those people who transgressed, all of them were destroyed. Okay? So we're talking about our people in the end times, and we're talking about end times, but we can't leave out the Gentiles. What about the Gentiles? Are they to stay in the midst of Babylon? Are they to stay in Babylon?
Nope.
Is it the Israelites only who should flee?
Nope. If the Israelites flee without the Gentiles, then clearly the Gentiles didn't do what the Most High required of them in order to be saved.
Because one law shall be to you and the stranger that sojourns among you. So when his people separate themselves, the Gentiles must join to his people and escape with them. It's out of Exodus 12:37.
Yeah.
Read, please.
All right. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children.
Continue.
And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks, and herds, even very much cattle.
These are the Gentiles, the strangers. went up with them. So the command to flee is as much same command for the Gentiles. And this verse that we have used so many times, Isaiah 56:3 and 6-8, which shows the promise to the Gentiles who take hold of his covenant, who have not utterly separated themselves from his people. Read, please.
All right. Neither let the son of the stranger that hath joined himself to Yahuwah speak, saying, Yahuwah hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
So the stranger must not say, Yahuwah has utterly separated me from his people. I am on my own. Verse 6.
Also the sons of the stranger that joined themselves to Yahuwah to serve him and to love the name of Yahuwah, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant.
Even them
will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar. For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people.
For all people. So the same process goes for the Gentiles. Verse 8.
Yahuwah Allah, which gathereth the outcast of Israel, saith, Yet I will gather others to him, beside those that are gathered unto him.
He will gather others who are the Gentiles. So they too have to escape. And we know Isaiah 14:1 tells us, read please.
For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
So the strangers shall be joined with them. So it's the same process for the strangers. Okay? So the Most High, through his favor, he leaves us a remnant to escape. It is through his favor that he has given us the command to flee from the midst of Babylon. Because if we do not flee, it is destruction. So let's look at the favor that he gives us in allowing us to escape. This happened under, was it Cyrus the Great? Ezra, the time of Ezra. Ezra 9. Yeah. Read, please.
Ezra 9, verse 1. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands.
They have not separated themselves from the people of the lands. People, if you are an Israelite, there comes a time when the Most High is going to say, separate yourselves. You're in captivity. You were under their bondage, but there comes a time when he says, separate yourself. And the cue for us in the end time is the abomination of desolation. That is the cue. And when you see that mark of the beast, abomination of desolation, then you know it's time for separation. Continue.
Yeah.
Start from one.
Yeah. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to the abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, and the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites.
All right. So the question will come, and the question has come, as to what happens to today. What happens to today? Should we separate ourselves? We have to understand that there is the good stranger and there is the bad stranger. If someone is married to a good stranger, that is, The stranger willing to join themselves to Yasharal, willing to give up on everything of from their country, willing to serve Allah with all their heart, mind, and soul, willing to walk after his commandments, then the scripture shows us that there's nothing wrong with that. Moses himself was married to an Ethiopian. And Boaz, who is a forefather of King David and, of course, Messiah Yahushua, was also married to Ruth, the Moabitess. All right? But if your spouse, is that the word they call it, spouse? If your spouse refuses to reject their heathen ways, continues to walk after the ways of their fathers, the wickedness of their fathers, then there must be a separation. Because that person will not allow you to be sanctified. That person will not allow you to be sanctified. So it is, here it says, have not separated themselves from the people, doing according to their abominations. So they were with heathens, people who did not conform to the ways of Yasharal, who did not want to join to Yasharal, but wanted to pull the Israelites into their own corrupt ways. Right? That makes sense, bro?
Absolutely, 100%. Because because as you read in it, was it Matthew what the Messiah says? I have come but what? To bring a sword, all right, not for peace, but to bring a sword, to divide.
Yep. Yes.
All right. This is where the division is happening. And still, I don't know why many don't see this as literal, right? Many still think it's figurative. How can the Most High divide families? Like what kind of a Most High is he? You know, and this is exactly, yeah, because many are still in shock, all right? When it comes to very literal words and commands like these, we have a tendency of trying to downplay it, to say it really isn't what it sounds like. All right. I think these men are just taking it out of context. They are really separating, and they are trying to push the idea of broken homes and poverty-stricken families. This is basically what I know many people will say in their hearts. But we know why it sounds difficult, why it sounds hard. Is because we haven't believed in the gospel of the Messiah. All right. Because we don't believe in the promises. We don't believe in the words of Yahuwah. Because if we did, then we know for sure that everything that has been spoken is actually being fulfilled and will be fulfilled in the end for all they that continue to do the will of the Most High. So please, this is not words that we are making up. Nothing being spoken here is the word of any man. This is the Most High saying that there has to be separation in order for there to be perfection. All right. Sanctification comes by separation. All right.
All right. And so we're going to see in the end why he separates, because we're going to use that Matthew 10 again to show why he brings a sword between families. All right. Verse 2.
For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in this trespass.
The holy, the set apart seed, the Kodesh seed, have mingled themselves together with the peoples of those lands. That's why we have to separate ourselves. So we don't encourage anyone to go into these marriages, interracial marriage. All right? Not at all. Not because Shaul says neither Jew nor Gentile. Okay? Verse 3.
And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment and my mantle, and plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard, and sat down astonished.
Just for you. That's how serious the Israelites took these things of marring the set apart seed. Okay, verse 4.
Then were assembled unto me everyone that trembled at the words of Alua, at the Alua of Yashral, because of the transgression of those that had been carried away, and I sat astonished until the evening sacrifice.
You notice who is assembled with? Those who feared Yahuwah.
Yes. Trembled at the word. That it says trembled at the words.
Yes.
Words.
Yes.
The very words that many are taking for granted now. So those who tremble,
yes.
right? Just without the fear of Yahuwah, there is no way we will tremble at this command, at his word. We will take it as Yahuwah doesn't mean it. Come on, he means it this way. Until destruction, sudden destruction comes, and we are caught up in it. But by then it will be too late. It will be too late to say, if only I had known. All right. So those who tremble at the words, those who have the fear of Yahuwah, get a good understanding. They do the commands without questioning. They Abraham obeyed, and then understanding came to him. So hopefully we can also take up the very same nature of these righteous men.
Read from verse 7.
All right. Ezra 9, verse 7. Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass unto this day, and for our iniquities have we, our kings and our priests, been delivered into the hand of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, and to a spoil, and to confusion of face, as it is this day.
No, this is where we are. We are in captivity, delivered into captivity. This 400-year captivity that we are in. So it's actually speaking about us. But and verse 8 says,
and now, for a little space, grace hath been shewed from Yahuwah our Alua, to leave us a remnant to escape, and to give us a nail in his holy place, that our Alua may lighten our eyes, and give us a little reviving in our bondage.
Favor hath been showed from Yahuwah, to leave us a remnant to escape. This is why, pardon?
No, I'm saying, no, continue. This is why, to escape,
This is why we are told to flee from the midst of Babylon. It is his favor that has given us a remnant, because we're going to see it's a remnant that shall escape. It's a remnant that shall enter the kingdom. Not everyone. It's just a remnant. Verse 9.
For we were bondmen, yet our Alua hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our Alua, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem.
I'm trying to see if I should go further.
The separation, maybe verse 12. The separation also stays there.
Yeah, verse 12.
Now therefore give not your daughters unto their sons, and neither take their daughters unto your sons, nor seek their peace or their wealth forever, that ye may be strong, and eat the good of the land, and leave it for an inheritance to your children forever.
All right, so keep the separation.
Yes.
Right here is the separation.
Yes.
Do not seek their shalom, their peace, or their wealth.
Their wealth. That's where many are stuck. That's where many of us are stuck. The wealth is so nice, bro.
Yes.
It's so sweet. Babylon will embarrass you with their wealth. You will chase this wealth until you are dead. This is how they've set up the system. All right. Yep. Because whenever it's time to flee, you hear the questions: what are we gonna eat? What are we gonna wear? What are we gonna do? Oh my goodness. They want us to leave everything behind. The houses, the cars, and then that's when you know. That is when you know Babylon has become a stumbling block onto the righteous.
So here it says, when you reject their peace and their wealth and separate yourself from them, it will make you strong, and you will eat the good of the land and leave it for an inheritance to your children forever. So in other words, we will inherit the kingdom. Verse 13.
And after all that has come upon us for our evil deeds and for our great trespass, seeing that thou, our Alua, hast punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and hath given us such deliverance as this.
All right, read 14 now.
Should we again break thy commandments, and join in affinity with the people of these abominations. Wouldst not thou be angry with us till thou hast consumed us, so that there should be no remnant nor escaping?
Whoa. It's the same thing for us. Should we join in affinity with Babylon? With the people of Babylon? Partaking of these abominations? Wouldn't the Most High be angry with us? That's why it destroys us if we don't flee. Because he's going to be angry with us for breaking his command to flee and for breaking his commandments because we are polluted and made to do evil deeds by host Babylon is set up. So he will be angry and consume us so that there will be no remnant. So the remnant is going to be of those who flee.
Yeah. And how many are those? Wow.
Few.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That's why it says in the book of Ezra,
Mm.
the world was created for many, but the world to come for a few.
Yeah, yeah. So again, verse 14. Should we again break? These are people that have learned their lessons in the captivity and in the consumption that was decreed. These are people, because many of us still haven't learned any lesson from this.
Yes.
Because the word says in Isaiah that he says what? He says the consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. So here in Ezra, we are seeing this again. Should we again break thy commandments? Those that are taking the words of the Most High not serious and are saying and are downplaying it, sugarcoating it, making it sound relevant to their wickedness, their wicked desires and heart. This is exactly what is happening. He says, shall we again break thy commandments, not take thy words seriously, and join in affinity with the people of these abominations? Which people are filled with these abominations? Aren't we dwelling amongst them?
Yes.
Aren't we dwelling today amongst them? Isn't it where we were scattered? So where is the passage saying that wait for a leader to come and gather you from amongst Babylon? Where? We want to see that. We want to see that because we are not listening. It says, flee, each man for your own life, for your own life, for your own life. So if you're going to sit there and say the Most High knows and the Most High knows this and the Most High is with me and I'm receiving revelations, well, if you cannot do very simple commands, all those revelations are literally in vain. All right. The obedience is very important. It ties down to the obedient aspect. That's what Yahuwah is looking for.
All right. Yeshayahu 4, 1-4. A remnant to escape. 1-4. Read, please.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
To do what?
To take away our reproach. In other words, shame.
All right. So you can center your video, please. Is that? You can center your video, Shamuel, because you look like you're to one side.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. So here's this now, Shamuel. Look at this carefully. 7 women. These are the daughters of Zion. Shall take hold of one man. These are the women who are desperate to have their reproach taken away. Look at this carefully, Shamuel. What this is actually telling us is that a woman's reproach cannot be taken away except by or through a man.
Very clear.
No, we're going to go down further and see it. Let's read further. That's why I made that statement. And we're going to see it. Read, continue, please.
In that day, is it verse 1 again?
2.
Verse 2. In that day shall the branch of Yahuwah be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel.
For them that are who?
Escaped.
Hey.
For those that get away.
All right. Verse 3.
And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem.
Verse 4.
When Yahuwah shall have washed away with the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
I don't think you see the connection yet.
I'm looking at it. It's clear, but it has to be brought out. It has to be brought out so that it's seen, because it's not given to everybody.
When Yahuwah shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion. How does he wash away the filth of the daughters of Zion?
By going back to his original makeup setting. The same story in the garden, very same story. The covering.
No, but look at it directly. I'm talking here. Let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. That is how the filth of the daughters of Zion is washed away. Through a man. We keep telling women the order that was transgressed in the garden. Eve being above and over the man. Yeah. If the woman does not get that in the order, if the man is not above the woman and the woman is not in subjection to the man, her reproach will not be taken away. So those women out there teaching and giving trouble, even in the assemblies in which they are, giving trouble, stirring up trouble, going out, leading, teaching,
revolution
on YouTube, all over.
Yeah.
They're rebellious. Their reproach is still with them unless they are in subjection.
It goes back to the very same beginning, because what Yahuwah is doing, he's doing nothing new. Because when you go back into Genesis, if Genesis 3:6 or 3:7, the word there is the very same thing you just explained there. I think desire to make one wise. I know many of us don't take some of these words seriously, but the one wise is the very same thing we are saying today. The spirit of many desiring to teach, many women desiring to be heard, to be leaders. It is there. All right. It is there. Desire to make one wise. Look at the definition of the wise there, and you will see: to instruct, to teach.
No.
You cannot make these things up. Yeah.
To be, causatively make or act circumspect and hence intelligent. Consider, expert, instruct. Prosper, deal prudently, give skill, have good success, teach. Have to make understanding, wisdom, behave, self, consider, make wise, guide wittingly. It's teaching. It is teaching.
You can't make this up. It is the beginning of sin. This is where it started from. This is where the fall started from. The very desire. So when the Most High says, I'm going to take away the reproach, the filthiness of the daughters of Zion, this is the first thing: the haughtiness, the high-mindedness, the wanting to be above. This is where it started from. This is where, and Satan continues to use the very same thing. Nothing has changed. There is nothing new under the sun. What has been is that which shall be again in the end. All right. Many are going to say, oh, I was beguiled. Many are going to say, oh, I was deceived. But then it would have been too late. It would have been too late. We're saying this because we're trying to avoid this late regret, this whole, I wish if only I'd listened to them, if only I'd listened to him. This is what we're trying to avoid. That's why the word has to come. And I know there are many teachers out there who wouldn't have the boldness to say this for the fear of shaming, name calling. But we thank the Most High for boldness here in calling out a spade for what it is, because the truth lives here. You have to say it.
And let's go to it, bro.
Yeah.
Because when we bring these things out, we bring out everything in scripture and they're like, hey, that sounds good. But when we talk about this, they say we hate women and we do and this. It is scripture. It is what it is. We have been brought up in a Babylonian system and a Babylonian order. So when we hear things like these, it seems madness, crazy. How can women be quiet? How can... It is what it is. 1 Timothy 2:11. Read, please, bro.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
Silence. This goes right back to the meaning of wise in Genesis 3:6. The woman must not teach, the woman must not instruct. The woman must be in silence. And it goes back now to where we were when it says, Isaiah 4:1, when it says, the reproach is taken away by being called by the name of a man, being under the authority of a man. Verse 13.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
And this is why a woman must not teach. The emotional woman easily deceived by her Satan. Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived. That is why the woman must be in silence, because you were deceived from the beginning and you will be deceived again.
In the end, yeah.
Yes, he will use you to deceive. And that is why whenever a woman is in an assembly and a woman has a voice, that assembly is not going to be nice. And the woman like to stay from behind and try to tug the men. The woman must be in silence. It's the men. And I'm not saying it because I'm a man. If it was otherwise, I would gladly preach it. Anything that is true, I preach it. Everything that is true. But the truth is the woman must be in silence.
But on another point. Looking at the verse, saying verse 11, the word subjection there. That word subjection. This is the very same thing the Most High expects from the man towards Yahusha. It says, no man can come to the Father except through me. Mm-hmm. So imagine the man saying, I refuse to be in subjection to Yahusha because I know Yahuwah for myself. Mm-hmm. What would that look like? Wouldn't that make the word also a lie? So now how much more when you have a woman also say that, no, I refuse to also be in subjection, because the thing is that you are not fighting the man. This is not a man's command. The ones whose word is given that you are actually rebelling against is the very same Father who says, I am bringing salvation unto my people, unto a people who are obedient, not disobedient. So Yahuwah is bringing the initial order, restoring the initial order, the order that was changed in the garden. What led to the fall? That's what Yahuwah is trying to do. And yeah, let's finish this one, and then let's finish this one.
Verse 3.
First Corinthians 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Alua.
So even those people with the Old Testament only, they're in a problem here because they refuse to make the Mashiach their head.
Yeah.
There's an order.
And this takes us back. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 3 takes us back to Deuteronomy 18, verse 20 or verse 19. This takes us very back. And listen to what the Most High says. Listen to what the Most High says. Anyone who wants to jump the fence is going to be bounced back. This is the truth. Anyone who wants to usurp, turn things around. He says, but a prophet which shall presume to speak a word. No, let's go to 19, bro. Let's take it back to 19. He says, and it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. This is the Most High. This is Yahuwah saying this.
Yes.
So Yahuwah is saying that this Messiah that will come, any man that will not comply, will not abide, would not listen, would not cleave to the words that he is speaking, that he teaches, the doctrines he brings, and the order and manner which he shall speak through him, he says, I will require of this person. I will require it. In other words, you have the Most High to face. Your accountability is not to Brother Kazak, is not to Brother Shamuel, Brother Maha, is not to any human being, but to Yahuwah himself, because these are his words. These are his words, except one has scripture to validate why what we say here shows that we are biased and we are against a specific people or gender. All right. If you don't have scripture to come forward and argue this or review or show us, to teach us the flaws, the wickedness, then clearly you know that what is being shared here is the absolute truth. And you have the Most High, whilst you continue to abide in this transgression, you have the Most High to deal with when you find yourself before him. That is, if you find yourself before him.
All right. So you're finished with this?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, so this brings us back now. Let's go back now to where we started in Isaiah
4, verse 1.
Isaiah 4:1. Let me go. Um, 4:1. Yeah. So the reproach, that is a reproach that it is a man required to take away the reproach, because a man has to be restored as the head of the woman to negate the Eve effect, as it were. All right. So let's continue at verse 4.
When Yahuwah shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
All right, so let's go again. The favor of the Most High to leave us a remnant. Isaiah 10:20-23. I think Shamuel had mentioned this. So as we were saying, as we move away from this topic, the woman, it is what it is. You want to hate us, you hate us, but we speak the words of truth. Even those women who have passed through just the word and hate us for this, for teaching this, it is what it is. Hate us, that's what it is. But we know that we are speaking the truth of the Most High. And hate us, but we love you just the same. Love you all, nevertheless. All right? Isaiah 10:20-23.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
All right, so this was what we were saying. It is a remnant that will escape. It is a remnant. And it is his favor to allow that remnant to escape. The remnant in the end, verse 21.
The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty allure.
Verse 22. So let's see what the remnant will return.
For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness.
Hey. The remnant that shall return is a remnant that's going to heed the call to flee from the midst of Babylon. That is a remnant. Because, yeah, go ahead.
Can you define remnant for us, please?
Remnant is actually, I don't like to define it out of my head. Those who remain a small fraction of the amount. Let me get the true meaning.
All right.
A remainder, yeah. A residue, rest. So the residue that remains out of the whole. So though Israelites are all around us, only a remnant of them are going to heed the call. Because the consumption that the Most High has decreed shall overflow with righteousness. The coronavirus consumption that he has decreed is going to bring out righteousness. And the righteous, through whom this righteousness has been brought out by the consumption, they are going to be willing to flee. Because the consumption is upon the earth, and it has brought with it the first seal, the corona that has been given for them to conquer and to conquer. And we have the abomination of desolation coming out of it. It is going to decree overflow with righteousness, and those who are righteous are going to leave. Verse 23.
For Yahuwah Allah of hosts shall make a consumption, even determined, in the midst of all the land.
In the midst of?
All the land.
What does all the land mean? Speaking of Yasharal.
And all the corners they've been scattered onto, everywhere.
Everywhere the children of Yasharal are. That's where the consumption is going to overflow with righteousness, and that is how you're going to get the remnant out of them. Because this consumption is not only in the midst of Yasharal, it is upon the whole earth. Isaiah 28. Let me see if I can find which verse. Remember which verse it is in. Somewhere around 21. Yes. Here it is. Read from verse 21.
For Yahuwah shall rise up as in Mount Perazim, and he shall be wroth in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore, be ye not mockers, lest your bands be made strong. For I have heard from Yahuwah of hosts a consumption, even determined upon the whole earth.
Upon the
whole earth.
So previously spoke about all the land that was in Yasharal. That's going to bring out the remnant. But this is the consumption. It's actually going to be on the whole earth. The coronavirus was on the whole earth. So the righteous remnant shall be carved out of Yasharal. It's going to be on the whole earth, but the remnant is going to be carved out of Yasharal. Isaiah 45, 19 to 20. Read, please.
I have not spoken in secret in the dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek ye me in vain. I, Yahuwah, speak righteousness. I declare things that are right. Assemble yourself and come. Draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations.
Who?
Ye that are escaped of the nations. So there's an escaping to do.
That's what we're telling you. And it is through his mercy, he gives us the opportunity to escape. So this is a flee from the midst of Babylon. As long as you're an Israelite, these things refer to you. It says, assemble yourselves and come. So you're going to be assembling yourselves in small groups.
Yes.
Going into the wilderness, leaving out of Babylon. These are those that are escaped of the nations.
And I
continue.
I mentioned this. I mentioned it last week that we are not saved to go stand alone. No, we are saved. All right. We are gathered to be with others.
Yes.
All right. Gathered to be. That's why when you receive this good news, yours is to do what? Is to freely also give to your brothers and sisters that are in the darkness.
Yes.
And if any is awakened, good for you, because now you can begin to form an assembly, an ecclesia with them, where else you begin to do things together. All right. It's easier. So it says, ye that are escaped of the nations, they have no knowledge that set up the wood of their graven image and pray unto a God that cannot save.
Yep.
Tell ye, and bring them near. Yea, let them take counsel together. Who hath declared this from the ancient time? Who hath told it from that time? Have not I Yahuwah? And there is no Yahuwah else beside me, a just Yahuwah and a Savior. There is none beside me.
22.
Look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am Yahuwah and there is none else.
All right. So we look to the Most High to be saved. So when he says flee, we look to him and say, okay, you said flee. All right. We look to you. You are my sustainer. So we flee. So in the end time, it will be those that are escaped who will be saved. All right. I think we looked at that.
Yeah.
So come to the part that I want to put out now. What about those who refuse? What about those who refuse to move? What's going to happen to those who say, could you tell me some of the things that they would say, Shamuel? Where are we going to go?
The Most High is strong enough to take me away from any problem. He can even protect me here in the city.
Yes.
The Most High knows my heart. He knows that I am righteous. I do his will.
And those guys at Just a Word, they are talking a false doctrine.
Yeah, they are teaching the false doctrine. They are promoting poverty-stricken family ideas, and they are separating and dividing families. And they are not against what Yahuwah himself ordained from the beginning, which is a family union, marriage, and whatnot, and all that.
All right. Let's see what happened to those who are in unbelief and refuse to move. The book of Yasha 80:36-40. Read, please.
And Yahuwah sent darkness unto Egypt, that the whole land of Egypt and the pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many of the people of Israel. Whoa.
Okay. Died many of the people of who?
Israel.
This was the 3 days of darkness. And we're going to see why the children of Yasharal died. Read, please.
At that time died many of the people of Yasharal, who had rebelled against Yahuwah, and who would not hearken to Moses and Aaron, and believed not in them that Yahuwah had sent them.
Hey!
Had I
First
known,
of all, how do you rebel against Yahuwah?
by rejecting his servants.
No, yes, and importantly, rejecting his words.
His word, yeah.
His instructions that came through his servants.
Yes.
So his servants, Jeremiah, and in the book of Revelation, Yahukanan, who told us to flee out of the midst of Babylon, and Yeshayahu, and Zechariah. So about 4 prophets told us, and we are reading from these prophets and instructing people. If you don't listen to the Most High, then you have rebelled against him. And who would not hearken to Moses and to Aaron, to the people who the Most High sent to bear the words. And they did not even believe that the Most High had sent Moses and Aaron. Go ahead.
Bro, what you're saying is, I'm just pulling out the very important details, because Yahuwah is not going to descend and stand face to face with you. I know many people would like to believe in such things, because the teachers, the servants, the people, the men that the Most High sends to proclaim his word. You see, one nature of the righteous will be that they are meek, they are humble, all right? Their hearts are very inclined to Yahuwah because they fear him. So they are always looking forward to his word. So when the word comes, they are quick to do it more than they are quick to what? They are quick to argue it. So literally, Yahuwah is not going to come down by himself, because the very same thing happened in the days of the Messiah, our Messiah Yahusha. When he spoke, the people did not know it was Yahuwah that has come to visit them. The people did not know. Say they couldn't incline their ears to heed and to hear the words. They looked at the man, the vessel there, and they forgot what Isaiah said, that nothing about this man to draw them to him. So if you are looking at the vessel, you are going to miss the word. If you are looking at the man, you are going, because many people are judging the word based on the man that is speaking. Others are going to be family members. They're going to be listening to you and saying, but we know him. That's Brother Shamal. We've already known that's Brother Mahal. This, we know them. They say the same thing. And they are going to miss Yahuwah, because one day the Most High is going to say, what happened to you when I sent my servants to you? Just like Abraham said to that rich man who says, can I go back and tell the people? He says, no, they have the prophets to do what? To listen to. They have the servants of Yahuwah there. Yahuwah is with them, and they do not even know Yahuwah is with them. Why? Because they are familiar and have no fear or reverence of the Most High's word. So this is the very same thing that happened here. They looked at Moses and Aaron, and they said, but who are these men? Whatever. And this is exactly what happened. Calamity and woes came onto them.
All right. So speaking of that, then it gets even more dire and more direct in verse 38. Read it, please.
And who had said, we will not go forth from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in the desolate wilderness? And who would not hearken to the voice of Moses?
We will not flee to the mountains, lest we perish with hunger. What are we going to eat? Where are we going to go? These were the person who died. And who would not hearken to the voice of Masha. Go ahead.
I'm saying the very same thing. Nothing new under the sun. What did Yahusha warned about? He says, do not worry about anything. Do not worry about anything. That's what he says. Do not worry, for even the birds of the field are clothed. Not Solomon in all his splendor could actually put on garments like that. All right. So I know that's the first thing that comes to mind. What are we gonna eat? What are we gonna wear? What are we gonna do? What? These are worries. And Yahuwah says the one that is able to raise up stones and turn into food, into manna, is able to rain down manna and stuff, is the very same Aluwa that is commanding each and every man to do what? To escape for their lives, to run. He will do the provision once we obey his word. All right. The Most High will not do it if you don't obey. He does it when you have proven yourself. All right.
Verse 39.
And Yahuwah plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days, without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them.
All right. So they died. There were people who died. Yeah. There were Israelites who died because they did not heed the command. Very, very important. Okay? Right. So more, those who are in unbelief and refuse to move. Deuteronomy 9, 22 to 29. Just give me a couple more instances. And this refers to the same in the incident, the children of Yasharal, the bad report that came in, and only Joshua and Caleb gave a good report. Read, please.
Deuteronomy 9:22. And at Taberah, and at Massa, and at Kibruthathava, ye provoked Yahuwah to wrath. Likewise, when Yahuwah sent you from Kadeshabnia, saying, go
Kadesh
up,
Barnea.
Kadesh Barnea, all right, Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you. Then ye rebelled against the commandments of Yahuwah, our Alua, your Alua, and ye believe him not, nor hearken to his voice.
All right, so he gave this command to go up, and they rebelled against the commandment by not believing and not hearkening unto his voice. 24.
Ye have been rebellious against Yahuwah from the day that I knew you, Thus I fell down before Yahuwah 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahuwah had said he would destroy you.
So when he gives his command and you reject the command, what is the next thing for him? To destroy you.
Destruction.
So that is why it says you must come out of Babylon, or else you are going to be partakers of her plagues. You're also going to be destroyed. So we say get out of Babylon, and people are saying, we are all right, he'll take care of us in Babylon. That's not what the scripture says. The scripture says if you don't obey his command, he looks at it as being rebellion, and then you will partake of the destruction of wherever the destruction is. Very, very plain. So after today, people who watch this, you must get an understanding of the implications and how serious this command is to flee from the midst of Babylon. Continue verse 26.
I prayed therefore unto Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah Allah, destroy not thy people and thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed through thy greatness, which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand.
So there was a Moses who fasted 40 days and 40 nights to prevent their destruction. But he didn't prevent their destruction. He just prolonged it because the judgment of the Most High has gone out. And so instead of destroying them immediately, he destroyed them over a period of 40 years. 40 years. I mean, yeah, over a period of 40 years. So it's the same treatment that has gone through unto them. All right, so we can leave on up that one. Psalm 78, 19 to 22.
Let's take a look at verse 23 of Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Is it 23? Yes,
Yeah.
23. The last part that says, then ye rebelled against the commandment of Yahuwah, your Allah, and ye believed him not, nor hearkened to his voice. So for many of us who only acknowledge the 10 commandments will also find themselves in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Also a command. Just likewise, flee into the mountains, flee from the midst of Babylon is also a command.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not see this command in the 10 commandments. So our next thing we are seeing, some of us think that, when I was told that some people think that they can flee in their mind. So I was trying to figure out how to flee in their mind.
Flee their mind. That's a good one. I don't know how you can do that. I think they flee in their mind. They think they use a religious establishment for Babylon. So Babylon is the religious order. So that is all you have to flee from. Well, everyone should know that Babylon is a system, and Babylon has to do with money and all of those, religion. It has to do with how countries are run, the military. It has to do with everything in this life. All right, so you can't flee Babylon in your minds. Psalm 78, 19 to 22. How much time gone, please?
Almost 2.5 hours.
Whoa. I'll try and make it an express note. Verse 19.
Yea, they spake against Alua. They said, can Alua furnish a table in the wilderness?
All right. That's the question. Hey. Can Yahuwah suffice me if I flee to the mountains? Continue.
Wow. Behold, he smote the rock, that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people?
So this is like for people who have, almost all of us who say we are believers, we have testimonies of the Most High, don't we? We have testimonies of the Most High for the different things that he has done to us. And we can boast on how he has been merciful and all that he has done for us. But we're asking now, can he suffice in the wilderness? If he has done this for me here, if we doubt him in the wilderness, then verse 21.
Therefore Yahuwah heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel.
So if you question him or doubt him, he's going to be angry. Verse 22.
Because they believed not in Yahuwah and trusted not in his salvation.
You see that? That is why.
These are the same people, bro. These are his people. These are the very same people who know of Yahuwah, who know he exists, but still could not have absolute trust and believe in him. It's the very same thing happening today. Very same thing.
And these are the people who will be left behind in Babylon and saying the Most High will save me in Babylon. Same people who are saying that, who are waiting for him to gather them. It's a whole lot of people. So that's why these people, we have a playlist on the Kazakh Eliyahu. I should remember to share it in the description of this video. Please share the playlist. It's about 7, probably about 8 videos now that constitute the Flee Out of the Midst of Babylon series. Anyone who wants to get the understanding should be able to get it from all of those videos combined. So please share these videos, people, because there are a lot of people out there. I've watched videos of people who are saying that they have packed their bags and they've packed their bags and their bags is in their home awaiting, and they are not making any effort to flee from out of the midst. These are people who are sitting pretty in Babylon and waiting to be collected in Babylon. As we can see for the couple of weeks we've been on this, that is not so. So please share these videos, people, so that I can edify someone. Please. All right. All right. So, yes, that was that. And of course, you know, Hebrews 3:7-19. Hebrews 3. What we're showing here is the anger that the Most High expresses when he gives his command to move and we refuse to move. Verse 7.
Wherefore, as the Holy Spirit saith, today, if ye will hear his voice.
As the Rock HaKadosh. As the Rock HaKadosh.
All right. Okay. Or the Spirit of man. Okay. Wherefore, as the Ruach HaKadosh saith, today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the day the provocation, in the day of temptation in the wilderness. When you
harden not your hearts when you hear his voice. So when he says flee, do not harden your voice. It is through emunah, or faith, that you will move. And when you move, he will do the rest. Continue.
All right. Harden not your hearts as in the provocation, in the day of temptation in the wilderness, when your fathers tempted me, provoked me, and saw my works 40 years.
No, proved me.
Oh, sorry, proved me, yes.
So they tempted him and they proved him, yet still they remained obstinate and continued to do the same thing. And what did the Most High say?
Wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways.
So this teaching is for us to get to know the Most High's ways. This teaching should let us know how the Most High works. So when he says flee from the midst of Babylon, we get an understanding of what he means. We have to know his ways. Verse 11.
So I swear in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest.
You see? If we are not willing to make the step, then in his wrath, he's not going to let us enter his rest. Verse 12.
To take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief and departing from the living Yahuwah.
Lest there be in any of you an evil heart of what?
Unbelief.
Hey. And that unbelief is departing from the Most High. You're parting ways with the Most High when you're in unbelief.
Wow.
Verse 13.
But exhort one another daily, while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. Wow. It says, but exhort one another daily, while it is called today.
Yeah.
Today, not tomorrow. Today,
Not
right
tomorrow.
now.
Verse 14.
For we are made partakers of Mashiach, if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end.
So we can only partake of a Mashiach if we persist, if we endure to the end, as we did in the beginning. Continue.
While it is said, today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation.
Continue.
All right. For some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses, which affirms what Joshua said.
So it's a remnant
Yeah.
that will listen, but the rest will provoke. Verse 17.
But verse 16 didn't make sense until we read the book of Joshua now.
Yeah.
Because we never saw the story of Israelites being consumed in Egypt. Yeah. All right. Verse 17. But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned? Those carcasses fell in the wilderness.
Whose carcasses fell in the wilderness?
The children of Yasharal, Israel.
Yeah. Verse 18.
And to whom sware he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believed not.
Read this again.
And to whom sware he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believed not.
So those who do not believe, they're not going to enter the rest. Verse 19.
So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief.
That's it. Unbelief keeps us out. So we were with Matthew 10, 34 to 39. That says he comes to bring a sword between the mother, the sister, the father. Now, why a sword between us, Yasharalim? And we looked at it earlier, that the sword is because a remnant will be left. So that is why I put some mother against the father, sister. It's not entire families that will be saved. It's one from here, two from there, three from there, one from here that will be saved. So he brings the sword to put them against each other. And so the righteous will be set apart. How many people of us here have complained and said, boy, my family has turned against me. Boy, I've tried so hard with my brothers, my sisters. They don't want to listen. Boy. How many of us? My children don't want to listen. This don't want to listen. My brothers and sisters, they don't call me anymore. My children, I don't hear from them. They don't talk to me. My mother, this, my father, this. How many of us? Most of us have had this experience because it is a remnant, only a remnant. So we look at Isaiah 10, 22 to 23. Its consumption determined shall overflow with righteousness. And Ezekiel 14, 21. Let's see what it says. A remnant. Read, please. Read. No. This is not it. It's the wrong one. No. All right, so I'll have to go to the other one. Zephaniah 3:11-13. All right, a remnant, verse 11.
In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain.
Continue.
I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahuwah.
All right, an afflicted and poor people. So it will not be those people who are in Babylon chasing after the wealth of Babylon, maintaining their wealth, maintaining their way of life and going through the cares of life. It will not be those people. It will be a poor and afflicted people. People who have been willing to give up everything and to leave and to join themselves to the Most High, to sanctify themselves in the Most High, outside of the midst of Babylon. So it's a remnant, verse 13.
The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid.
So why will they not do iniquity? And why will they not speak lies? And why will not a deceitful tongue be found in their head? Because how can you do this in Babylon? It is because they have come out of Babylon, out of the midst of Babylon, and the Most High has gathered them like an eagle gathers her chicks, and the Most High has led them, taught them, sanctified them, and totally transformed them into a righteous remnant.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
So that's why the sword. We're going to see the process. And this is a process. The process. He first takes the believers from among the wicked, flee from the midst of Babylon. Then he takes out the unjust out of the just. I want us to get it. Because we know it. But I don't know if many of us have put it in perspective. He first takes us out. So from among those who flee from the midst of Babylon, we are going to have preppers who have no regard for the Most High. We're going to have some believers who have regard for the Most High, but have not been willing to serve him with all their hearts. And so, walking in unrighteousness. You're going to have people who, like, for example, Christians, who might want to believe in the Most High, but they do not keep his commandments. And so they are not just before his sight. They still commit all sorts of abominations that are not peaceful in his, not right in his sight. There are going to be those of us who even strive to keep his commandments, and we just have this wicked heart and we refuse to change. We're still going to be polluted. We're still going to have our bad ways, our dirty ways, our corrupt ways. And we will be there representing, oh, I keep the commandments. Oh, I this. But our hearts are not transformed. Yes? The Ruach cannot take us and do what it wants to do with us because the old man is still there. There are going to be those. So what he's going to do, take us from among the wicked and everybody together. And then he's going to take the unjust out of the wicked and leave the wicked and leave the righteous alone. And then he will take the righteous, and the righteous shall enter the kingdom. And we're going to use the scriptures now to show exactly that is what is happening. When we get to understand this process, we understand why we must flee out of the midst of Babylon. Because somebody telling you, it is very important that you get to understand why. And we should understand today. Ezekiel 20, verse 33. Here it is. Read, please.
As I live, saith Yahuwah Allah, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you, and I will bring you out from the people. And will
That's the
gather
first
you.
stage. That's the first stage. Remember we said the process? He will bring us out from the wicked. Then he is going to take the unjust out of the just, and then he's going to bring the just into the kingdom. Read 34 again.
All right. And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
So that's the people we takes out now in the wilderness, pleading with them face to face. Verse 36.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith Yahuwah.
And just like in Egypt, when some of the people complied and some of the people showed unbelief, it's the same thing that's going to happen. 37.
All right. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels.
He's going to take out the unrighteous out of the just.
Those that don't listen to his word. People.
The rebels. There were those who flee from Babylon, but still rebel against the word of the Most High. Continue.
All right. I'll bring them forth out of the country where they. Okay, let me start that again. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahuwah.
You see that?
Yeah.
We will purge out the rebels from among them, bring them out from the country, but they shall not enter into the land of Yasharal. It is the righteous who is going to enter into the land of Yasharal. So there's going to be a remnant that remains, and then he's going to take the just out of the remnant. Let's see it again in action. Matthew 22, 1-14. This is probably going to be the longest teaching that we do. I didn't know that it has gone so long, but these things have to come out.
Bro, before we go to this, the next verse.
Yes.
Verse 36 of Ezekiel 20, just in case this one flew over someone's head, let's go back to 36 real quick. Because the Most High never changed. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Nothing is new under the sun. So for the ones who might be saying, well, that was way back down in Egypt. Here he is saying, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, said Yahuwah alone. So this means it is going to happen again.
Yes. Matthew 22, 1-14. Yes, read, please.
And Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, 22 verse 2, the kingdom of Shamayim of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come.
He told them to flee from the midst of Babylon, and they would not flee. Verse 4.
Again he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come on to the marriage.
A second warning, second call, but verse 5.
But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise.
Where did they go?
Back to business. Back into business.
What
Back
does the book
into
of Revelation tell us about the merchants
yeesh.
in Babylon? Yeah, they went back into Babylon and went to do their thing. Verse 6.
And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them.
So they turned on the messengers and attacked the messengers.
Very same thing today. Very same thing.
Verse 7.
But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city.
Burnt up Babylon. Now we're going to see him turn to those who fled Babylon now. Verse 8.
Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage.
So everyone who is not in the midst of Babylon, anyone you see not in the midst of Babylon that were not burnt up in the city, go and bring them together. Call them. Continue.
So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was finished with guests.
So the same principle we are talking about. Bad and the good are going to be together. People are going to escape. A remnant is going to escape. But a bad and the good are going to be together. And then there's going to be a selection process. Verse 11.
And when the king came in to see the guest, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment.
Hey, there we go.
And when he said unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
Not even an excuse he had.
Yep. And
then what happened?
Will be without excuse. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Take him away. The wicked shall be taken out of. So first we have the righteous coming out of the wicked, fleeing the midst of Babylon. Then we're going to have the wicked being taken out of the righteous, or the unrighteous being taken out of the righteous. Why? Verse 14 tells you the reason.
For many are called, but few are chosen.
Oh, that's it. That's it. So the good, the bad, and the ugly are going to flee from the midst of Babylon. But it is only those, it's only those of us who are found to be righteous are going to remain as chosen. Yes? So we're going to get more insights again in the four winds to see how the Messiah shall gather the escaped of Babylon. The four winds, Matthew 24, 29 to 31. Matthew 24. This year shows the value of precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Read, please.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from Shamayim, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Immediately
30.
After the tribulation of those days. 30.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of Shamayim with power and great glory.
So all the tribes of the earth, all the nations of the earth, all the families of the earth are going to mourn, because this Messiah that is coming, they are not going to want to see him. All right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to see a black man coming. And all of them, almost all of them, including our own black people, have hated our one another.
Yeah.
And when they see a black man coming in power and great splendor, everybody's going to mourn. Whoa. Verse 31.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of the heaven to the other.
So where will he gather together his elect from?
From the four winds, the four corners of the earth.
From the four winds. And if we go to Zechariah 2, 6 to 7, let's see who will be there in the four winds waiting to be gathered. Zechariah 4, 6 to 7. Did I say 4 or 2? 2, 6 to 7. Zechariah 2, 6 to 7. Read, please.
Ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahuwah. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Yahuwah.
Spread you abroad from the land of the north, from Babylon.
Yeah.
Flee from the land of the north. Flee from Babylon. Verse 7 shows us it's Babylon.
Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon.
So the four winds of the heaven, those that have fled Babylon, will be in the four corners of the earth, the four winds of heaven. And from there, the Messiah is going to gather them. Read 31 again.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
There we go. It is those who have fled Babylon who are going to be gathered by the Messiah. Okay? So, in summary, the end time separation will not only be of us from the nations, but it will be separation of us from one another. That's why we have Matthew 10:34. I have come to set the Father against the Son, etc., etc. We will be separated from one another. And so those people who are thinking about fleeing Babylon, they are going to be pains of separation. But the Messiah said he came to bring a sword. That's the separation. Fleeing Babylon and that person in your family does not want to come. That person. And let me tell you something. There are people who are so dear to their families. Your family is going to try to pollute your mind. They are going to say you're doing foolishness, you're doing madness. They are going to say you're following this and you're following that and try to dissuade you and try to bring down the messenger. Tell you all sorts of things about the messenger. Let you question the messenger. All right? That's what they're going to do. Because they don't want you to leave. Because they want you to stay in Babylon. That's it. They want you to stay. Because they comfortably want you participating in their lives, but not away right here, but right here with them in Babylon. All right, so be careful of that. There will be a sword, and it will be a painful separation, but it has to be made nevertheless. All right, so touching down the scattering of the set apart people. Daniel 12, 6 to 10, the scattering of the holy people. We are touching down. But these verses are also Daniel 12, 6 to 10. Read, please.
And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a times, and an half, and when he shall have accomplished accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
All right. So what we are trying to say now, what we are using this to show is that there will be, right around the time of the end, right around this time, there is going to be a scattering of his people. Let's see. Times and a half time. How many times till the end? 3.5 years. Where did we see this before? Revelation 13, verse 5. This is the beast, the time that the beast was given. Read, please.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
42 months, 3.5 years, times and a half time, the beast was given. And we know that we are in Revelation 13, the mark of the beast. So it's around this time that Daniel is speaking about the scattering of the power of the holy people. But what does scatter mean? When he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the set apart people. What does scatter mean? Meaning of scatter. It is the Hebrew nafats, which means to dash to pieces or scatter, be beaten in sunder, break in pieces, broken, dash in pieces, caused to be discharged, dispersed, to be overspread, scatter. So this scatter is the fleeing from the midst of Babylon. This is the scattering, the dispersing of the holy people in the last 3.5 years of this Babylonian system. Scattering, dispersing. This is what Daniel is speaking about. It says, what shall be, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And he says, 3.5 years, when he shall scatter the power of the set apart people. All right? So the power, of course, there is from the Hebrew yad, which actually means hand. And the hand there refers to the power of the whole that is in the hands of the set apart people. So the set apart people will be scattered, and so they will be powerless. Because where will they be scattered? They'll be in the fields, in the mountains. So they will have no power in Babylon. So the power of the set apart people will be scattered. And so he told us that it is 3.5 years. Okay? So let's take it to the end. We had more, but we'll just take it to the end right here. So salvation, no salvation without separation. Remember the process? We flee from the midst of Babylon. Then the wheat and the tares grow together. And then at the time of harvest, the tares are taken out. The unjust are taken out from the just. And we have several scriptures that, point to that, this taking out from the just. So to begin the process, we first have to flee from Babylon. Then there is the process of the purge, the unjust taken out from the just. And then we are taken into the kingdom. All right? Hope this opened your eyes and your hearts as we continue to strive to speak the words of the Most High in truth and to try to open up our minds and our hearts to the way of the Most High. All right? So, Shamuel, is El Pedro there before he runs?
Yes.
El Pedro.
Oh, he he jumped ship.
Oh, he jumped already. Oh man, what a quick deserter.
Yeah.
All right, either Brother Mahar or Shamuel, one of you. first? Who's coming first? Let me see.
Brother Maha is coming. Yeah. Brother Maha.
All right. Shalom, shalom. Okay. The scriptures are very clear. Even if no one said anything, you can read for yourself and see what it is saying to us. But I would like to say this to everyone who is with us for a period of time to be very spiritual vigilant, because it would be a shame if we allow anyone to just come and get it and move on, leaving us behind. That would be a shame. The next thing is, this is a very big question, even though it appears like the answer is all over. But the question is, will anyone at all be, what word should I use? Can anyone be victorious if they remain in the city? Can anyone be victorious if they remain in the midst of Babylon? That is a big question, because many of us could be wondering if we could take care of business while we are in Babylon until that time comes. And because the Most High loves me so much, He knows my heart, and He will just come and say, it is time now, come on, let's go. What is good for one is good for all. No one here gets any special treatment, am I right? No one here gets any special treatment, because the scripture is written there for every one of us. So why would some go and read, understand, and apply, and some just read and sit back and relax, and should be victorious or overcomers? It is a question where you can look into it deep and ask yourself the question, can I remain in the midst of this same world which I was born in, grow up in, being all these things? Should I remain in the very same corrupted world that gave us its shape? Can I stay in there and still be saved? It is a question. Maybe I don't have the answer, but it is a big question. What I know is, since we are serving a master for many years, and we find out that sin was the master we were serving, are we going to continue serving that same master? And to know that that master, or those masters, are the king of this world, the world where the earth is given in the hand of the wicked. These are some questions we need to ask ourselves. And let us not be deceived by the time, because we know that when there is peace and safety, sudden destruction, not a timely destruction, not a slowly destruction. The word says sudden destruction, which means we could be walking right now, and something happens suddenly. That is what it means. So we need to really make up in our hearts, understand this, the scriptures that are saying the Messiah came to raise up mother against daughter, daughter-in-law. It is very clear, because we must know at this point that the real family, the authentic family, are the ones that do the will of the Most High. It is just like a show. You have 200 people in the show, but some of them is just to make up. Just to make up. There will be some key actor in the show. In the end, you will see those key actors, those stars, those major, and you will find that the makeup may get the stipend and sent away, or some may die. It is the same thing in this world. Not because she gave birth to you, yes, she's your mother, that does not mean you have to stick to her forever. if she is not doing the will of the Most High, and you are doing the will of the Most High, that make her your temporary earthly mother who give birth to you. So we are in the time when we need to make up in our mind which side or whose side are we going to be on. What we're seeing played out very clear in our eyes is a test, a real test, not like the regular school examination, a real test to see who loved the Most High and who loved the things of this world. That is the test we are facing today. And with our action, because our action will show us whether we are choosing the Most High or we are choosing the things of the world. And while we are choosing, let us not forget that the earth is given in the hand of the wicked, which means if there's any one of us here today still having doubt, still having plans to choose the ways of the world, the ways of the wicked, this is your opportunity to know that the earth is given in the hands of the wicked. So that means you are going off to serve the wicked. Just so we can know that. The Most High put before us life and death. What are you going to choose? And the good thing is, the Most High did not just show us life and death, good and evil. He told us, choose life.
Choose life.
Who are we going to believe? Who are we going to put our trust in? The call is really upon us today. It is your call. It is your call. Let's put a football game in this thing also. Let's blend it up today, right? You are playing football. You have the ball in your position. The other guys who are competing against, they are way back because they are so fast. You outrun them and you have the ball right on your foot. It is just you now and the goal. Because the keeper jump off too early. So it is you and the goal. What are you going to do? Are we going to kick the ball in the goal or over the goal post? That is it today. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this opportunity today? It is your call. Shalom.
Shalom. All right, powerful there, Brother Mahar-Kun. Brother Shamuel, Febi.
Right. Yes, no one can choose life for you. Only you can choose life. It's an unfortunate thing that I cannot choose it for anyone. Everyone has got to work out their own salvation with fear and trembling. Unfortunately, if you sit down, and I know many people get this scripture very misconstrued. You know the scripture that says that perfect love drives out all fear?
Yeah.
Many people have misunderstood that because of the man-made religion, Christianity. Now, certainly, if you're not doing the commandments of Yahuwah, if you're not obeying his word, certainly you are supposed to be in fear. You will be in fear because even the very same righteous who are doing the word are able to do the word because of fear. All right, because of the fear, the reverential fear, which is different from the dreading fear of knowing you are against his word. It's two different things. When a child knows they are naughty and aren't doing the will of the father, whenever they hear the sound of the father's vehicle or car arrive at home, what happens? You find the child trembling and crying, literally very scared. But a child that knows I have actually done and fulfilled what my father has asked me to do when he left home in the morning is actually anticipating the return of the father. All right. So I am saying this in the sense that these are the times many of us say we longed for. These are the times when the Most High is pleading with each and every one in this wilderness of the people here in Babylon. Even before we walked out, even before we got out, the Most High is saying, please come out, hear my words. They are simple enough to be understood even by a child. Are you hearing the word that is coming out? Now, this is what differentiated all the righteous men from the unbelievers. Because the Bible says in Genesis chapter what? It says in Genesis chapter 26, verse 5, it says that because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. This is what separated Abraham. He was obedient from beginning to the end. All right. He didn't cease or stop to continue to listen to the voice or the word of the Most High. And neither should you, even in the midst of all the revelations and the prophecies you are seeing. Do not stop doing what the word says, because at the end of it, when you are about to die, your fulfillment is going to come from the fact that you know that I did everything the Most High required of me, not where you are dwelling. So if you are dwelling in a place and it's wrong and the Most High says, come out of there, what do? You heed to the word and you get out. All right. It is best to die in obedience to the word than to die, right, leaning onto your own understanding and your own voice. This is very important, and I'm going to rest on this one, but I pray, and brothers, I want to put this before all of us as an ecclesia, as a family, to please pray and seek repentance on behalf of our brothers and our sisters. All right, for the men to stand in their rightful place and be men according to the will of the Father, and the women be women according to the will of the Father also. I want us to intercede, because the heart of the righteous people always seek for what? For good and lovely things, as Moses, as we saw in the life of Moses, happened to the children of Israel. He interceded for them 40 days, 40 nights. Please, brothers and sisters, I want us to do this. Our people, we know they are stiff-necked, but we just want to continue to intercede and ask the Most High to have mercy, to have pity on all of us, compassion, to cause some of us to change our disposition, our opposition, our rebellion, to change our stubborn heart so that we can hear him and be saved even within that twinkle of an eye, that salvation comes to us. So please let us intercede. Let us intercede. The word is intercession. Let's intercede for those who have even been treacherous. Let us pray for them. Let's pray for our enemies as well. All right, that the will of the Most High be made known and come through, even through every situation. So we love you all, from all the brothers here and all the sisters here. We love you, and we continue to pray and intercede for you. Be strong and courageous. Continue to meditate on the word of Yahuwah, and be Baruch.
All right. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Sabaoth. Yeah. So thank you all for watching. Once again, another Shabbat day completed. Flee from the midst of Babylon. That is our call. We got to get out. It is those who get out who will be partakers of the kingdom, who have a chance to be partakers of the kingdom of Lua. All right. So Kazak Aliyahu Yasharal here. And just reminding you of my channel, Kazak Aliyahu YouTube channel. All right. Just kind of started, just as set up my website, KazakEliyahu.com. CHAZAQELIYAHU.com. There, probably I'm up to maybe about 3 or 4 videos per week, relatively short videos that continue that which we speak here on the weekends. All right. So if you have not yet subscribed, asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Kazak Eliyahu. And so I want to ask you to like if you like, and comment if you will. We love the comments. The comments help the algorithms and help to push us up in the rankings in YouTube, so that our videos are shown all over YouTube. And share, very important that you share this video and our other videos, because this video is so important, like all of them are. So please share as well as subscribe if you have not. All right. And thank you all for watching. So until next time, what can we say but shalom?